Hello there, I'm Nick, and this is Portable, where we look at the portable ports of console games. Mega Man is no stranger to portable systems, having a series run right alongside his legendary run on the NES on the original Game Boy, and then having a new game out every week on the Game Boy Advance. But when it comes to the Game Boy Color, the Blue Bomber is strangely silent. Mega Man appeared in only 2 games on that system, and surprisingly in the form of Mega Man X, the spin-off series created to show off the upgraded power of the 16-bit systems after the initial 8-bit run. Yet, here we have an 8-bit version of Mega Man X, known as Mega Man Extreme. Yes, even in 2001, it was tired and embarrassing to use the word extreme, especially when you didn't know how to spell it. Maybe that's just what the X stands for? Is that his real name? Extreme? Is he fueled by Mountain Dew? I picked this up back when it first came out because, well, despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of the Mega Man series, the first game in the X series was, and still remains, one of my favorites. One of the most tightly designed games that used the tried and true formula that we've seen in literally dozens of games. So seeing a portable version of this on a store shelf, well, this was a no-brainer for me. Sure, nowadays you can have all the mainline X games on the Nintendo Switch, but back in the early aughts, this was the best you're gonna get. Now, it's not entirely a port of the first X game. They mix up some levels from the first and second game, mix around some power-ups, and put in an all-new story with some contrived nonsense to justify fighting old bosses. As you can see with these can't skip the cutscenes, which is a shame because the story is, oh my god, who cares? Who cares? Game go! Okay, so when you get past all these new characters that nobody cares about, you can pick one of 4 stages, which is not out of place if you're familiar with earlier Mega Man Game Boy games. Outside of the 5th entry, the classic Game Boy Mega Man games would grab 4 levels and bosses from their console big brothers, mix them up a little bit, and get you on your way. Extreme seems to follow the same formula, but this time it's translated the more powerful Mega Man X to the handheld. The downgrade in graphics and audio are to be expected, and both are actually quite charming and work well here, but the real difference between Mega Man and Mega Man X is the control and speed. Unlike the original Mega Man, X can also dash and wall jump, which completely changed the level layout and action, making it a much faster paced game. If you want a breakdown of that, go watch Sequelitis. I don't know how any of you would have run into my show first, but if you somehow have, go watch it. Oh man, I missed that show. Anyway, I'm happy to report that the X formula translates to the Game Boy surprisingly well. There are some issues that arise. Despite the surprisingly smooth feel and control, the lack of buttons will prove annoying to fans used to having dash assigned to a specific button. You can apparently use the start button if necessary, but I was using the dash the same way I've always done it, double tapping the direction I wanted to move. So for me, this layout is familiar and welcome. What's less welcome is the screen crunch. That's nothing new for console games translated to smaller screens. This leads to off-screen hazards. It's a good placement of a ladder. And just like every other Mega Man game, they stick to the single screen boss fight, which is a problem because the sprites in this game are much larger in comparison to their console counterparts. But hey, it's fine. I can beat the original Mega Man X in my sleep, so I'll just roll through Chill Penguin's stage and just shoot that stupid bird in the face until... Sorry, I must have, let's try that again. That's not how this works. That is not how this works. I don't lose to Chill Penguin. Nobody loses to Chill Penguin! How did I lose to Chill Penguin? So it seems the bosses are tweaked a little bit for a little extra challenge. I think this is the first time I've ever died in a fight with Chill Penguin. I don't care if I can kill him with fire. I don't seek out another weapon to take out Chill Penguin. That's not how this works! And Spark Mandrill. Oh my god, Spark Mandrill. None of those little level tricks come over from the original game. In the SNES version, defeating Storm Eagle will lead to his airship crashing into Spark Mandrill's stage, making a lot of the electrical hazards depowered and ineffective. But here in Extreme, they're all working just fine no matter what order you'd hit the stages. And the fight itself, I hate to admit it, but I've been smacked around senselessly even with the body armor upgrade and ice weapon. Does any of this make sense to any of you people who've never played the original Mega Man X? Or are you just sitting here wondering why you're listening to a man scream about penguins and monkeys? My point is, video games are weird. And even if you're familiar with the original game, this version is gonna test you. They also do this weird thing where once you're done beating the 4 bosses and the final boss afterwards, you unlock a hard mode which unlocks yet another 4 stages. And once you beat those, you unlock the extreme mode, where they finally let you pick between all 8 stages. I have no idea why they set it up in such a fashion. Maybe they're trying to help players learn boss patterns, maybe they're trying to surprise veterans with the original Game Boy Mega Man setup. I have no idea. Look guys, I'm not here to nitpick every detail of this this game. You have another couple YouTubers doing just that, and those videos are awesome. I don't care about this stupid story. I think the hard and extreme modes are weird, but I can live with it. All I'm here to tell you is, despite this being a technical downgrade and in turn an inferior version compared to the original 2 games it's mixing up, Mega Man Xtreme is awesome. It was technically impressive back in 2001, and it still plays fantastic today. More than just a commendable effort stuffing in the 16-bit games into a tiny system. Mega Man Xtreme strips away a lot, but leaves enough of what makes this series so special, and you can genuinely have a great time playing this even today. The controls are tight and responsive, which is essential for the series. Boss fights are indeed tougher, but they are certainly manageable. At first I felt like a lot of this was annoyingly cheap, and a small part of me still does, but as you track down upgrades, energy tanks, and heart containers, and well, just get good, you will see yourself improve, especially when you figure out the boss order. But even then, these bosses will not let you off easy. Like I said, I can play the original X game in my sleep, grab everything and finish up the game in just a couple hours. But here, even though I've played and beaten other X games, and I have beaten this particular title more than once, the boss fights were still intense and left me on the edge of my seat. I feel like they picked out the right levels to rep the first 2 games. At least these are the levels I normally think of when it comes to the series. And maybe these levels are just less taxing on the Game Boy Color, or maybe these bosses just mesh together a little bit better when it comes to the power weaknesses. I don't really know or care, honestly. It works, and there's an 8-bit remake of the highway theme, and that's just the best. So yes, I could wax on forever about how neato it is to have a portable Mega Man X back in the day, but even in 2019, I still feel like I can actively recommend this game. Seriously, if you've slept on this title because you've already played the original X1 and X2, give this a shot. Hardcore fans probably won't find it as challenging as I did, but it is a remix challenge all the same. Besides, like I said, it does have an original story, as boring and useless as it might be, but I'm not a hardcore Mega Man fan, so I'm sure you'll get something more out of it than I did. And come on, I know I'm not the only one who loves seeing 8-bit versions of the iconic X characters and locations, or having some of those famous tracks demade and still sounding fantastic. And of course, seeing if the soul of this series is still intact when you strip away all the pretty paint. It thankfully does, and it does it well. There's something surreal about seeing this game in action, like it invaded the stomping grounds of its predecessor or something.
What up, Grandpa? I'm here to party!
I agree with everyone else when it comes to the arbitrary doling out of the levels. I feel like they were trying to make things a little easier for people who had never touched this series before. I mean, it had been away from a portable system for a couple of years at this point, and this was the very first time Mega Man X was available on this machine. But this was still implemented in a confusing fashion. They should have just had all 8 levels available from the start. It worked with countless other Mega Man games. I don't know why they started using it here. It's familiar, but it provides a fresh challenge. It's a charming demake that still captures the fast action of the original. This is a great game, and from what I hear, the sequel is even better. We'll save that for its own episode, as I haven't played it yet, so we'll get there in due time. Once again, my apologies for not having a heftier episode out yet, guys, but trust me, it takes a lot of work. But for those of you watching and commenting down below, thank you for your time, and thank you for the conversation. I still have a list of games you guys keep requesting, so keep that list coming, and I will get to them eventually. But until next time, toot toot, Blue Bombers.